colonial Africa was controlled through strict borders that restrict movement of citizens within the continent. And the aspiration of 63 is about strengthening intra-African trade and adding value to our minerals within the continent, and free movement of goods and services across the continent. We've seen great positive strides within East Africa. Even there is a lot of labor mobility, which is well accommodated by the different economies. So really, South Africa cannot be an isolationist entity that puts in extreme restrictions to the rest of the Africans who would want to do trade. If we are talking about intra-African trade and a very prosperous Africa, then we should allow free movement of goods, services, and people, including labor mobility. And so xenophobia is a wrong thing for us to experience, particularly when South Africa is a country that the entire Africa stood and struggled for. So I'm sure these are matters to be handled within the continental organs, so that then we don't have things that takes us backward. We want to be free, and we would like to see citizens from across the continents and regions doing trade. There would be not, I found Congolese doing hawking materials in Bomet and Rwandese, and they're doing well. Nobody bothers with them. And there are Kenyans I found a Nyamachoma zone, very good one in Rwanda. And you get Kenyans everywhere, and they're doing very well. So this is what we need for the continent of Africa. Then back to the matter, this one of gender. I think the Constitution is clear, and there's been a lot of efforts for the last 26 years to implement the 2/3 gender rule. And true indeed, Kenya Kwanza was so committed that it will be implemented within 50-50. A very short time. Not just on 50-50, even the provision of 2/3, both in the National Assembly, the President pronounced himself about the cabinet, but of course that was never achieved. There is a court ruling that has been mentioned, and we all know the President and Kenya Kwanza respect the rulings of the courts, and I'm sure this is an item that government will apply its mind on. There's an Attorney General, there are institutions to deal with that, and these are matters that I'm sure it will be handled the way other judgments have been handled in the past. But I think as a country, we've made a lot of progress in terms of gender parity, except in the political space that, of course, with the National Assembly, the intentions and the objectives of achieving it, there have been a lot of roadblocks about it. But I believe we should be able to overcome these obstacles, so that, in fact, by now, we should not be talking about 2/3 gender rule being in the Constitution. We should be talking about when to retire it, because affirmative provisions cannot exist forever. Yeah. They exist for a period of time to achieve a goal of equality. Once that is achieved, then it is retired. Yeah. And once it is retired, we have a society where there is parity. But it is important for Kenyans to note that the struggle for gender equality is not an event. It is a process. It has always gone on. It will go on. And it is one of the goals of Sustainable Development Goals agenda. And it is being implemented everywhere in education, so that then when we talk about gender equality and 2/3 gender rule to be complied with by government institutions and all entities, it is something that we need to do an analysis across board. Check how has education complied with 2/3 gender rule. For example, if I talk about my sector, if you talk of heads of institutions, are we past, have we complied with 2/3 gender rule by now? That school leadership, at least 2/3 are either gender. Have we really done it? We need to do a cross-board analysis and have targets and timelines so that we are able to get this problem off the table once and for all.
I think it's there, Mr. Sossion. Already this data exists. It exists on appointive and elective. And he has clearly said himself that in the political arena, we are not doing well. In the appointive, we are doing better.